Thank you for the glass clinkers. Good evening once again. My name is Phil Tower. I have been disabled for 57 years and 1 month. I don't know why I said that. Thank you for being here tonight. I really am struck by the fact that we are so fortunate to be here. It's been 2 years since we've held this very important event for disability advocates, and it is my honor to be here as your MC. I've done this for several years, and it's a real treat for me to be able to be here and share a little bit of the evening with you. Those cookies on your table, by the way, this is really cool because I'm from Greenville, which is a town north of here. It's a little town. It's where the first Meijer was started, by the way. And the cookies on your table are from a town a little bit to the north, the home of Montcalm Community College, Sidney, Michigan, which is in beautiful mid-Montcalm County. It is the home of MCC, and it's also the home of Jenna Worthy's Sweet Stop Bakery and Coffee Shop. And those cookies are from Jenna. Jenna happens to be a person who uses a wheelchair, by the way, so she's extra cool. So please pass those around and enjoy. There's no plated dessert tonight. That is your dessert. You can break them in half like Jocelyn is doing so you feel like you're eating less. I'm sorry. Did I just single you out? See, Kate has not hit the cookies yet. She's enjoying wine or something, but no, these are great, and I was envying those cookies. We could not present this event. Oh, by the way, I'm going to go off script for a moment because Justine and Jana are interpreting for the deaf tonight, and as a person who's lived my whole life with a disability, I had my eyes opened earlier this year. This is hard for me to talk about this. I saw a film that blew me away. It's called Crip Camp. It won an Academy Award. If you have not seen this documentary, I think it's still on Netflix. Please watch it. Those people like Kate Pugh Walters and those pioneers who made it happen and started it here. There were people out west who were badasses who started advocating for people like me to have what I have today. This is why we do this, because this is not easy. I fall 2 or 3 times a year. It sucks. Gravity is hard. It's worse when you fall in the wintertime. And those are minor things compared to obstacles to being able to live in a house, obstacles to employment, all the obstacles that the incredible team of people, experts at disability advocates, all those people who break down those barriers. So this is important stuff you are all participating in. There's so many great charities in West Michigan. And it's happening because of people like Meijer, Beeler Young Company, Mary Free Bed Guild, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, CareLink. Yes, this is the shout out to the sponsors. Thank you to every one of them. Custer, Wolverine Building Group, Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc., Fishbeck, Spectrum Health, John Paracchio, Adaptable Home Heated Pumps, Mobile GR, Steelcase, and Varnum. Let's give them a warm round of applause. By the way, the other movie besides Crip Camp you have to watch in the next couple of weeks, I told Jana and Justine this, my wife Diane and I stumbled upon this movie. It is now hot buzz for Picture of the Year Academy Award nomination. It's CODA, which stands for Children of Deaf Adults. And this is, unfortunately, it's only on Apple TV. It's on Apple TV Plus, but it is a life-changing film and it is incredibly acted. And so there's just a couple of non-solicited plugs for some great movies of people with disabilities. In fact, CODA features the three primary characters are all deaf in real life, including Marlee Matlin. Mary Matlin is a political person. Wrong person. And Marlee Matlin is great in that film, CODA, C-O-D-A. Speaking of great people, it is my honor and pleasure to welcome to the stage the Executive Director of Disability Advocates. Please join me in welcoming Dave Bolkowski. Okay, this is not on the script.
Phil, what's up?
What is this?
Well,
Are we going
Phil,
analog? Are we going old school here?
Well, I mean, you were talking about all these brand new movies. It is our 40th anniversary, and how could we have a trip down memory lane without an awesome slideshow? So I brought a few slides, and we can get going here. The first one, of course, you've seen it earlier. This is our very first logo from 1981. Our new logo down below. You notice we changed our name. It's really interesting to point out that the tagline, "Together, a community for all," is almost identical to the second half of our current vision statement, which is inclusive and accessible communities for all. So we've been pretty consistent over the last 40 years. So here we go. Let's see if the slide projector works.
Okay, this is a picture of the, oh my gosh.
That's a great one, Phil. That is a great one.
This is the first time we were on stage together at Walk and Roll 2000. I remember this very distinctly. This is Ford Fieldhouse.
Exactly.
I must have borrowed that sweater from John McEnroe, I think.
Yeah, we're
Wow.
looking good. 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah, my hair grew some, which is good. And then moving forward, you know, I mean, Phil, give it up for Phil Tower, everybody, right now. I mean, you don't make it 40 years without awesome friends, and Phil is one of the best. You know, Phil, can you? And before you finish the question, he's like, tomorrow at 3 o'clock. You know, I mean, he's that kind of friend. So thank you, Phil.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so let's move on here. You know, sticking with the old stuff. Uh-oh, there we go. This is, you know, some would say the Rogues Gallery, but, you know, this is, you know, those friends and those champions at the beginning. The woman in the bottom right, Nancy Jacob, was our very first executive director. On the bottom next to her is Kate Pugh Walters, who was cutting a ribbon at a local housing development when she was the executive director of Disability Advocates. I don't know, most people don't remember that Kate was me back in the other days. And then up in the far corner, Gail Miller was executive director, and then Beth Harvey, who's in the middle. Ira Hart, man, Ira Hart. You know, some people you get mad, you get mad at some folks who unfortunately pass away too early. And Ira, he retired and then he decided to pass away. Steve Johnson, another guy, huge help, and then Henry Vasquez. So again, as an organization, having so many awesome friends and champions moving us forward.
So these are a couple of historic news clippings. By the way, this thing sounds like a 1982 Yugo.
It's still working.
It's really running.
It's perfect.
Here are a couple of really cool news clippings. The one on the left is the first newspaper article in the Disability Advocate archives about the beginnings on October 19th, 1981. The one on the right highlights the Disability Advocates move to 3600 Camelot Southeast. That was in 1993 when Disability Advocates reached a milestone, becoming an independent nonprofit. Now, speaking of this location, the Camelot location, I'm aware that we're moving, right? Is that true?
I mean, we are, if you want to bring it up, if you want to talk about the future.
Yes, I want to bring it up.
But we are currently engaged in a capital campaign called Building Opportunities, Creating Independence. Huge thank you again to some current champions. Cam Young, right up front. Give it up for Cam Young.
Cam.
Cam is one of our co-chairs, along with Angela Nelson, who decided to move to Portland, i.e. Oregon, not Michigan. But she left after we announced publicly. And then, just again, fantastic cabinet helping us raise money.
We are approaching $1.8 million toward our overall goal of $2.5 million. That means we are over halfway there. That's amazing. If you have not joined the campaign yet, it's an honor. My wife Diane and I are on the cabinet, and there are a lot of great people on the cabinet. We hope you would consider making a pledge. You can spread that out over a number of years. Right, Peggy? Did I get that right? Okay. And most importantly, please, if you will, make a commitment tonight. No matter what it is, please consider doing that.
But enough about the future. Let's look back to the past. So we're going here. Here we go. There we go. You know, the first part of our mission is working alongside people with disabilities. And it's kind of hard to show that in photographs. You know, you see that really cool technology in the bottom left. I don't know if you've heard of Zoom, but Zoom there on the bottom right, some staff there. I think in the third or fourth tray, Phil, I've got some better pictures. We'll get to those. We will get to those. Don't worry, folks. We'll help explain it. But it's definitely working alongside. So next, here we go. There we go. This thing is just, there we go.
One highlight of the recent past is a really cool area with area high school students. These are pictures of students and their teachers. Each of these students received a makeover at Aveda, and then they participated in mock interviews at the United Way with area employers. So really impactful learning opportunities. Here they are with their excitement after they've completed their day together. That's a group of very proud kids.
And another one of our services that we've been doing for over 20 years is helping people transition out of nursing homes. A couple of my favorite stories here, Frank, he wrote in his calendar, got home on January 12th of 2012. Again, it's just baffling how people can literally get stuck in nursing homes. Our staff, Jeanette, who's way over on the right, is here with Julia in this picture. And what I loved about Julia's story is her highlight of transitioning out of a nursing home is that she could pick her own brand of toilet paper. You know, a year and a half ago, we couldn't find toilet paper, you know, but having some institutional variety, you know, she was able to have that choice. And again, Jeanette is our staff person. Just want to take a moment for all the staff through the years. That article from 1981 mentioned we started with 2 staff. We're up to 30, and many people between 81 and now. So give it up to the Disability Advocates staff.
Another thing that Disability Advocates has been doing for a long time is transformational occupational therapy. Their team of occupational therapists are making life possible for people with disabilities in their own homes. I want you to think about what it would be like to be pulled out of your home tonight or after a traumatic accident and not being able to return to your home because of inaccessibility or other issues. It would be devastating. But the occupational therapy team at Disability Advocates has been doing this for 39 years. Through the years, this evidence-based service allows people with disabilities to self-identify and then identify the barriers in their home. And working with the occupational therapy team at Disability Advocates, remove those barriers. Simple things like ramps, adaptive equipment, just things that we really all take for granted. But I certainly can tell you these are really impactful things, and being able to remain in your own home and use your home as a person with a disability is a big deal. Items that have been provided, hundreds of items, even a roll-in shower insert, a tub bar, a grab bar in a bathroom, a portable ramp. The transformation of a house from inaccessible to accessible to livable. And speaking of ramps, this is a wonderful story. Is this Rosie? Rosie was over 100 years old. She's over 100 and she wanted to still live in her own home. I bet you Rosie was stubborn like me. People many times think, wow, I can't afford to build a ramp. I don't know, I don't have enough family around here to build the ramp. A private contractor is going to charge anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000, sometimes more. We have, of course, gotten it done a lot cheaper with volunteers. However, the cost of 1 month in a nursing home, and we know this, I know this from family members, can be up to $10,000 or $12,000 a month. So a $5,000 ramp to prevent that person from being put in a rehab facility or a long-term nursing facility, that is a game changer for them. Just a couple of Saturdays ago, the Rotary Club of Grand Rapids, great volunteers here in Grand Rapids, helped build a ramp. These are before and after pictures. That ramp on the left is not an ADA accessible ramp. I could not walk up that ramp. This is the after picture on the right, that beautiful ramp with the rail, and the 78-year-old woman could roll up and down that ramp along with her 80-year-old husband. That was huge for those guys. Again, disability advocates. With a big assist from Rotary Club of Grand Rapids. Dave?
Well, we need a commercial announcement. You wonder why I brought this glass up here. I forgot to mention that this glass is your gift, so take at least one home with you. You know, and if you're sneaking out and you see an extra one, take a second, but it is our 40th anniversary wine or other beverage glass for your keepsake. So that's why I brought that up there, to remind me, and I almost forgot. When we talk about the second part of our mission and systems change work, it's equally as hard to show it in photos. So, I mean, here's just a couple pictures of the advocacy that we've done in the community. The woman cutting the ribbon in the bottom right is Ray Bauer. She was one of our board members, and Ray continues to have a huge impact on us as an organization. And I'll tell you why in a second. And then the next slide. Here's some more pictures of folks from the Capitol to local hearings, meeting with legislators. Again, people with disabilities working to change public policy. I also meant to mention when I talked about Ray being our board president, right now I want to give a huge thank you to all of our board members today and all the way back to 1981. So if you were or are a board member, raise your hand or stand up. So give it up for all our board members.
Thank you.
Today and in the past.
Thank you.
So yes, it's that help that we've had through the years, making change.
In addition to the policy barriers, Disability Advocates also addresses physical barriers, the more obvious barriers. This is a picture of a ramp that looks pretty new that ends right into a parking spot. And yes, even though it was 70 degrees today on October 20th, it will snow soon. We're going to have to shovel our sidewalks and our curb cuts, and we need to continue to be active and remind our local municipalities and our friends and neighbors to do the same. If sidewalks remain covered in snow, as a person who gets around on crutches, even a person in a chair, it is extremely difficult to navigate a sidewalk or any area covered in snow. These are some of the original pictures, the original accessibility audit we did for the Grand Rapids Downtown Developmental Authority By the way, those curb cuts were huge. They were game changers as well. Dave?
And then I referenced Ray. Ray was from New Zealand, and she had a project in the suburb outside of, I think, Wellington, called Absolutely Accessible Hut, and Hut was the suburb. And so our project, Absolutely Accessible Kent, got a nice kickoff 4 years ago, and we continued to work on it. This was our inaugural Absolutely Accessible Kent workshop and luncheon. Ileana Rodriguez, an architect and former Paralympian, was our keynote speaker. So again, continuing to have that impact, working on change in our community.
Okay, Dave,
Yes, Phil.
enough of the slides.
Come on, man, I got like four
It's
or five.
2021.
Yeah,
We need to
is.
turn off the Yugo and keep the show rolling, okay?
Well, I'm going to keep it warm. We'll be back.
Okay, you have a video you need to introduce.
I'm going to.
It's a short video, by the way. We have a hard out.
And it's a short video, and it is an old video, so that's the only reason I approved it. You'll see we have a different logo from in 2016. So roll film.
In the 1960s and 70s, individuals with disabilities began to raise their voices and demand change, advocating for themselves and wanting the same rights and responsibilities as the differently abled among them. Created by and for individuals with disabilities, Disability Advocates of Kent County was founded in 1981 as the Grand Rapids Center for Independent Living. They took their inspiration from those early voices of the disability rights and independent living movements. The center promoted independence and accessibility, offered peer support, information and referral services, and independent living classes. The long fight for accessibility and integration won a significant victory when President George H.W. Bush signed the Americans with Disabilities Act, better known as the ADA, in 1990. The ADA requires employers, government entities, and public facilities to ensure full access and make accommodations for individuals with disabilities. In 2002, the Grand Rapids Center for Independent Living became Disability Advocates of Kent County. Our services expanded for those born with a disability and those who become disabled through war, accidents, medical illness, or age. In Kent County alone, there are 70,000 individuals who have publicly claimed to be living with a disability. They may have disability insurance, parking passes, or a handicap sticker for their vehicle. This amount could easily be doubled by the number of unreported disabilities. Disability Advocates of Kent County remains uniquely qualified to speak and act on behalf of the individuals we serve. Over 51% of our board, staff, and volunteers are individuals living with a disability.
The biggest barrier that we have is a lack of visibility of people with disabilities. When people see people with disabilities, disability starts to make sense.
Because of the fact that they are singularly focused on people with physical, cognitive, mental health disabilities, they're experts.
The issue that they're dealing with is no different than the issue of diversity in terms of race, because it's a prejudice against people for no apparent reason.
After days and years of experiences that are negative, it's so positive to go to Disability Advocates of Kent County, because the first word is yes, we can help you.
Without the support of our individual and corporate partners, Disability Advocates wouldn't be able to provide the essential services that we pride ourselves on. You know, from employment services to advocacy in Lansing and in Kent County, to housing services, to helping veterans achieve greater independence, to helping seniors get out of nursing homes. Without support from the community, we wouldn't be able to do any of that.
In 2015 alone, Disability Advocates assisted over 3,000 individuals with disabilities through our programs and services. And our partnership with community organizations and government entities helps secure benefits for everyone, including expanded rapid bus routes and the extension of sidewalks and curb cuts along 28th Street. Despite all the progress made, there is more to be done before individuals with disabilities in Kent County and elsewhere are able to live their lives to the fullest and are recognized for their unique contributions to society.
All right. I think we've let Dave have enough fun with his slide projector, huh? Is everybody ready to move beyond the slide projector? All right. And I know I'm supposed to apologize for interrupting the regularly scheduled program. The only problem is, as you can probably tell, I'm not all that sorry about it. Now, don't get me wrong, Dave and Phil. I enjoy a good trip down memory lane as much as the next guy. But a few of the younger folks in the audience and I were starting to get a little restless with everything so far being, how do I say this nicely, maybe a little bit retro? Sure, it's important to celebrate our history, our learning along the way, and the progress we've made. And that said, we hated to spoil your fun, but we had to stop you. Besides, you mentioned our new home, but it's really hard to get in the spirit of new beginnings unless we finally close the book on the last 40 years and start talking about the next 40 years. And maybe we can also retire that slide projector that's, I believe, older than I am. And so I'm glad to see that my friends John, Cassandra, and Marcus have started to make their way to the stage and are on the stage. For a second there, I thought they left me hanging as part of this little stunt, and I would be the only one having to explain myself tomorrow morning.
Patrick, you could not be any more right. As I recall, hindsight was 2020, and we're moving into 2022 at this point. And you know, two of us might not have a job in the morning. So Marcus, you being on the board, you think you can pull some strings for me and Patrick? If not, we're gonna have to talk to Cassandra about some vocational rehabilitation. But here we stand, 4 young leaders with disabilities, looking around and telling you the job is not done yet. When it comes to disability, we have come a long way, but we still have a far way to go. We can stand up here and tell you that we have a vision of what the next 40 years can bring, but we cannot do it without your support. Oh, and by the way, I'm John. It's nice to meet you guys. I am a youth transition specialist at Disability Advocates and our new community education specialist. But I want to tell you guys a few things that we're hoping to do in the next 40 years. I can tell you, as an avid bus rider, Grand Rapids is amazing. We have one of the best public transit systems in the state. It covers 4 cities. But unfortunately, if you live in places in Kent County, such as Rockford, Caledonia, Plainfield, Cutlerville, the bus is not an option. And that's awful. I often think of Rockford as that magical place on the other side of the rainbow. I'm convinced it exists, but I haven't seen it. Now, what we are hoping to do is be that leading voice advocating for county-wide mobility. This needs to be a thing. This is an essential service that we need to provide. With a unified push for county-wide mobility, we can truly be the leaders in accessibility that we should be. I also want to say over the next 40 years, well, actually starting January 1st, we are planning on doing a lot more trainings and presentations to the businesses and agencies and organizations in our area. We are hoping to expand on disability decorum. We know how important diversity, equity, and inclusion is, but it's also important to remember that disability intersects with all walks of life. Sorry for the awkward pause. But our goal in this is to not only make our home informed, but truly a welcoming environment for all, no matter the barriers that they may face.
Thanks, John. Hello, everyone. My name is Cassandra Wolf, and I was just reflecting that 8 years ago tonight, I stood on this stage as a recipient of Disability Advocates Services. I had been involved in their employment readiness program as a young woman who was blind and has cerebral palsy and didn't know what that meant for my career options. I stand before you today as someone who is a social worker, who worked at Disability Advocates of Kent County, and thank you, and who now works as a vocational rehabilitation counselor at one of the state agencies partnering with disability advocates. What I can tell you is that one of the barriers that people with disabilities have faced for the last 40 years and will continue to face for the next 40 is employment. The barriers of equitable, sustainable employment are massively problematic for people with disabilities. And I know that in the next 40 years, disability advocates, with your help, can continue to partner with businesses and community organizations and voc rehab counselors like myself to encourage and embolden and empower people with disabilities to achieve what they want in their jobs and in their homes, to have economic success and stability, and to be offering their talents to their communities. So that's another thing we are hoping and working towards for the next 40 years is equitable, sustainable employment for people with disabilities.
My name is Marcus Fairfield, and I'm a member of the Board of Directors with Disability Advocates, and I'm here to tell you I'm excited for the next 40. The evolution is huge, and a big leap forward in that evolution is, like Phil and Dave alluded to, is our move to the headquarters for Special Olympics. We're creating a workspace there that's all-inclusive. It's going to make it so that more efficient work happens through the staff, the board, and committees, disability advocates, and we're just going to get more done for the people. It's going to provide a space that the disabled community can come and take advantage of as an office space. It will also have one huge advantage that I wish I had when I came out of Mary Free Bed as a patient is the Home Accessibility Center. This center is going to be essentially a working, what would you call, modified apartment. So the people get a real retrospect on the things that they can take advantage of in the way of knocking down the barriers that slow down their freedom at their home. It's going to be a space for our builders, developers, and our architects that are creating Kent County so that they can go ahead and see where to start being inclusive before they actually design a building. I think that's our huge push, is moving forward with that, starting with a design eye for all-inclusiveness, okay?
Hi, everybody. I'm Patrick Parks. I work with Disability Advocates of Kent County, at least until today. I'm not sure what that stunt is going to cost me tomorrow morning, but I'll promise to keep you all updated. Maybe put in a good word for me if you can. Call Dave and tell him I'm really sorry, but this is something we had to do, right? So as many of you know, we're fortunate to live in an area that continues to earn accolades for its variety of great places to live, work, and play, right? And with your help, we've made key strides in injecting accessibility into that conversation. That accessibility is an important piece of all of these facets. But as so many others have mentioned, and this category is not immune to it, there's still so much work that we can do in this space over the next 40 years if we're to realize our ultimate goal of creating fully accessible and inclusive communities for all. And so the Absolutely Accessible Kent project, which Dave talked a little bit about the genesis of, and I'm fortunate enough to work as part of, is still just scratching the surface of what we believe is possible. But our current advisory work and our annual workshops, which many of you may have attended, continue to light future paths for architects, planners, and designers by showing them how accessibility isn't just a base level compliance standard, but it's an opportunity for innovation. And the way I like to think about it, people with disabilities innovate every day by adapting and thriving in environments that aren't ideally designed for them. And I would just like to leave us with this thought. Imagine what kind of world we could create by letting people with disabilities lead us in designing a new user-friendly future for all.
Hey, let's give it up to my co-conspirators, Patrick, Marcus, and Cassandra. So we got some great things planned, but we need your support, and this here is your opportunity. You will have several chances in the next couple minutes to show support through contributions. Rather than using paddles, I'm going to ask that you guys raise your hand, or you can use the app that you've been using all day on your phone for the Fund a Need. I'm going to be listing off some different monetary amounts for opportunities for you to contribute. And again, I want you to raise your hands high so even I can see them. Let's practice for a second. Everybody raise your hands. Are they raising their hands?
I don't know. I'm also blind.
Okay, I'm sure you guys know what you guys are doing on this one. Yeah, if you can't raise your hand, make a friend, use an app. But with that being said, let me get a drum roll. Okay. How long do you think they're going to go?
I don't know.
Okay. So, who will give $1,000 so disability advocates can build more ramps and make home modifications to give somebody back their home? Come on, let's get those hands up. Yes, come on, thank you. You have no idea that importance of being able to stay in your own home can be. Give time between so spotters can get all the... Not supposed to read that part. Who will give $500 for furnishing and small appliances to help move somebody out of a facility and into their own home, truly giving independence back to the individual? Let's go. Come on. Where are those hands? Who will give $20 so I can afford my Uber ride home? I'm just kidding. Not that one. Yeah. Who will give $250 so that our high school students and transition-aged youth can receive additional pre-employment training? And trust me, this is the work that I've been doing for the last 5 years, and these students need this help. It really goes a long way into giving them that confidence to drop their cane on their foot. I mean, get them out there and knocking down their own barriers. Let's get those hands up. Come on, we got a couple more to go. I'm so gonna step on that. Somebody will catch me if I stage dive, right? So who will give $100 to help with pre-employment and transition services for our veterans who have served us with their lives? Yep. Our veteran programs have done so much giving veterans opportunities, giving them resources that they need, helping them navigate these difficult systems. There's many of them out there, and many that still need our help. And finally, who will give $50? $50 will cover the Go Bus expenses for one of our test pilot volunteers to get 2 sites to help assess the community to ensure its accessibility for all. Come on, I need to see some hands. Yep. Or I guess you can use the app, but the hands just seem more fun. presenting this tomorrow. Okay. We should do this tomorrow, too. Okay. Yeah. But I gotta say, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your support. As you can see, we are excited about the next 40 years for disability advocates, and your contributions tonight. Really? Okay, I am a stand-up comedian, and I will heckle back if your phone's going off. Say that again? Yes. Thank you. Who wants to see this match? Can I get some extra hands up? So again, with your contributions tonight, it will help us achieve these impactful steps we hope to accomplish. We are advocating for more inclusion and access to homes, community, and employment. This work takes many strong hearts walking together for a common purpose. And it is clear to us tonight that you guys are walking alongside us in this journey. So give it up to yourselves. I speak on all the disability advocates of Kent County when I say thank you, and thank you. I also want to give a quick shout out to Peggy, Catherine, and Joel for putting this amazing night together. Okay, Peggy wants me to remind you, you can do that fund a need, so all those contributions I was asking for on your phone. So if you forgot to raise your hand, you can still raise your hand. Yep, both are an option, but give it up to Peggy, Joel, and Catherine for all the hard work they did on putting tonight together. So I want to leave you with this because I know I've gone over, but I usually always go over. 40 years ago, people with disabilities did not have basic civil rights for access to public accommodations, employment, telecommunication, and many other services. 40 years ago, those weren't available. Imagine what these next 40 years can accomplish. Thank you all.
Eia, chapupu, chapupu hinu hinu e.